All right. Good night, everyone. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank, the 90 minutes of intellectual conversation um, driven by fathers of all works, pieces of life. Um, Come here tonight uh, to really just have a conversation, the conversation we're having tonight, um, in looking at today's topic. Um, it's probably pretty to the point. Tonight's topic is a father with an idea and vision will always outcompete father who only sees money. And that is it's a very conflictual topic, because it's looking at this idea of where your ideas is, what your vision is. But a lot of times we also know that sometimes can't happen without money. And so this is the yin and the yang of what I think a lot of times is important for men and for fathers. So we're gonna kind of break that conversation down tonight. I'm Dr. Ron, the mentor, educator, therapist, and curator of the Fatherhood Think Tank. And I'm alone going to let the fathers introduce themselves. Tonight here is going to be a panel.
Already. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for hosting this program to empower our fathers. Uh, my name is Rohan Roloff, and I'm a father of two young adults, two young ladies. And as I always say, it's a pleasure being here to share ideas and to empower all fathers along their journey.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, um, 3 young ladies, 4 young men, and 2 grandchildren, a grandson and a granddaughter. And it's always a pleasure to be with you guys.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ed Tenney. I am a father of three with one grandbaby, and that's it.
Well, and so let me jump right into this again. If you are tuning in, hey, share this with someone right now. Tell them like, share, subscribe, join into the conversation. Definitely on any of the pages that you're watching. And if you really feel like, hey, I want to come on here and have a little conversation with the fathers on the platform, drop it on one of the message boards or what have you, and I'll try to get it right over to you, let you come on in and have a conversation with us. This is not like a webinar, it's a private place. This is a meeting to fathers, men. And listen, I'm not opposed to a woman, a mother who would like to ask some live questions to some fathers. So it's not like, oh, this is whatever. This is a safe place where everyone's opinions and thoughts are welcome, but also you're going to hear perspectives from men who are fathers in different aspects of fatherhood. So let me throw out to the panel. When you think about this, do you believe that this idea of the ideal vision versus finance is even a thing, or is it a joint thing? How do you kind of even see, what we're kind of talking about tonight's topic?
I was reading the topic in back of Tinny, and I don't think they're competitors of each other. I think they're companions to each other because it's actually ideas that give birth to money. And so I think we have to really not ever make them a competitor to each other because it makes it dangerous. It makes it takes away sometimes from the accountability and the responsibility aspect of um, as long as I can see my kid and be with my kid, I don't have to pay any bills. You understand? And like bills are not real. It takes away from the reality of that. And then vice versa. The same thing is saying, as long as I give the money, I don't have to spend any time with my children. I'm pretty sure Rohan's going to throw, because you know he got a favorite topic that goes on how you spell love. But I'll let him get on that one right now. So yeah, it is vice versa. So I think they're equally as important. And I think the same formula actually transcend not just in father-child relationship, but actually transcend is equal in every relationship, particularly a husband-wife relationship as well. So that's just my thought on
Great, great. I love how you said that, Lightburn. I think you kind of hit it on the head. And just to continue on that note, he mentioned a word, relationship, and we know relationships. Uh, Relationships is with your plumber, your wife, your child, your job, with your on the road to some extent. So we're talking about money versus vision. Vision is a vision is where you want to be almost similar to a goal. But how do you get there? You may need money to get to do that vision, right? And as Lightburn said, they both work together. But we know that not everyone work do them together. We know there are some fathers where children is concerned, they they concentrate on the money, and there are some fathers who concentrate on the vision. We know money is fleeing. You can have money today, you don't have money tomorrow. You can hope to have money next week. You have more than what you had. You have more money that gets you into trouble than when you were broke. There are many different ways to look at money, but vision is something we should all keep in mind, because the reality is at some point we will move on the journey, and we hope our children can follow our vision. So, the, as I watch a program, a couple months ago on the news, I don't watch it often, but this one really moved me because it was a child being sentenced in jail, and one of the things they asked the two persons who were there to on his behalf was his uncle and his father, and they were incarcerated, asking a judge to have mercy on my son and mercy on my nephew. And I say to myself, what was the vision? What was the vision of those fathers to come from a jail scenario, come into court asking their sibling not to be sentenced or to have leniency? So we want to have vision that is realistic, that can make you a better person or a great person or leave some mark on this earth. So I think more fathers need to more focus on vision versus money, and that's what I would add to this topic.
What Ron, I think as I listen to Lightborn, I think Lightborn makes a very valid point. I actually, first let me say that this 3 days, 11, 12, 13, have always been interesting days for me. Well, 11th is Mother's Day. The 12th has been at some point my graduation, my doctoral graduation. And I kind of thought about that yesterday. And then I always remember now that the bittersweet of this day is the 13th is, and I can't go a day without honoring um, the Move Nine who was bombed here in Philadelphia. Um, and somebody said to me, good morning. I said, well, it's not that good of a morning, because I was thinking about the whole process of that. And again, that was 40 years ago. And I'm bringing that mindset because when you think about the Move mission and idea, how they operated, it was a community type of thing. It wasn't about money. It was about building and working hard and living kind of off the grid. And maybe one of the issues might have been is living off the grid in the middle of the city might not have felt so good with your neighbors, right? But they were living off the grid and they were doing things that, last night I went to a program and I heard Michael Africa Jr. say something that was so profound. And he said, you think about what happened to the Move people, what happened to them was about what people didn't understand. But today, you see all the things, eating raw food, farming, the dreadlocks, all the things that they were doing presently now is big time, big money, big things, popular to do, and almost like, hey, here are some people who are trendsetters of that. They were basically at some point, I'll be very honest, distinct, almost try to extinct them because when they bombed the house and the whole neighborhood. Remember, the whole neighborhood also burnt to the ground. So it wasn't just them who was affected, but all other people who lived in that area. And that was this challenge, I think, that I thought about more than anything is the people in the community, right? There were people in the community who had an idea of, about how much money, how their property value was going down. They didn't like what was going on in the middle of that. But they never thought about the idea of what those brothers and sisters were doing. And that sometimes happens to us is we sometimes think about money, status, those things, and not thinking about what is the true idea of what we want to do. And I'm bringing this back to come all the way back to the 12th. And so the 13th made me think about, but I go back to the 12th and said, hey, I did all this work. I worked really hard and long to attain this education for this and that, but it wasn't for the money. Most people say to me all the time, it's like, yo, you got to be making them big bucks, man. I'm sure you do. I'm like, no, I work at a very modest a job. Almost at some point, people were like, you didn't even need no degree. You didn't need that level of degree to be doing that. And I share with them a lot of times, it wasn't about the money. It was about the vision. It was about being able to provide that level of terminalness of your academic prowess and not give it to the highest of us, but to give it to the people who had never really experienced someone at that level. And that's not a money, that didn't become a finance thing. That became a vision thing. That became an idea of work that I wanted to do. And that's it's a hard one because they don't change the debt that I got. Don't change my bills and any of that. But I can say, and I will say to people that I have never woke up any morning saying I didn't want to go to work. I don't. I get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. No problem. Happy. Take an hour bus ride and get here and be happy, joy, happy, ready to work with these young people. And so it's about the vision. It's about the idea. And that does become that challenge because there's a lot of people around me. Initially, when I was taking this position, like, yo, you need to go get this. You need to go this. How you gonna support this? Or how you gonna? But it came back to a point that I can't support those. I can support whatever, but I can't do any of that if I'm happy. If every morning I woke up and rolled over and was like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to do this. Look, I tell you this: if I felt that way, there's no way I could even do these shows because I'd be like, I hate working all day. I'm just gonna go home and do the old-fashioned man. Let me go. I don't even drink, but let me go get me a 6-pack. And I gotta go. I gotta make up something. But it's not that. It is really a true idea of looking at the idea and the vision of what, as a father, as a man, that I would want people to look at me and say, "Hey, this man, this father is doing this." Not just for himself, but for our people, for our community, for our children, and that is something that, and it comes at a sacrifice. It does come at the financial sacrifice. I'm not going to make millions every year, right? Not going to be, I could say I could be like a millionaire, right? So you make enough money, save, and you have a million, but the idea of this thing is that's not the battle. The battle is I feel really good. I feel healthy. I feel inspired. I feel upbeat. And I don't think that the money, that if I had the money, I would feel that same way. So that's a big part that I think that a lot of fathers are struggling and finding themselves with sickness, stress, high blood pressure, all these things, trying to really maintain this idea of I need to make as much money to support, but you just got to find ways to budget and put everything into play. That don't mean you can't splurge and have a good time and do what you need, but it also means you have to be disciplined and you have to work like you got to get you might have a little side hustle, but you got to make the side hustle one that works for you. It can't be like you're out here on the plantation from such and such and such and such, and you go work down at the other nighttime plantation and such, because you're not going to be happy. That's not what you really want to be doing. So I thought as that comes up, it just thinking about, this week, these last 3 days, and how that kind of plays into these ideas of how, you can look perspective wise and look at this and say, I don't care what happened. I got to get this money because this money is what I need. But I think that going right back to Lightborn, you can't get that money without the vision or an idea of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Because we know a lot of people got tons of money, and not only they got it, it's gone shortly after that because they have no vision, no idea what to do with it. So that's a big thing.
So I kind of agree with Brother Lionel that the two are not in competition, but they complement one another. I just remember being a young married father, and I guess my vision was kind of simplistic for me. I just wanted to be able to put a roof over the kids' heads, wanted to be able to make sure they got an education, wanted to raise them in a scenario where they could be productive members of society. As that vision stabilized, it drove my work ethic. It drove how my performance was at the job. It drove me enhancing my skill, making sure I'm staying on top of, my work, and just making sure nothing interfered with the financial stream coming from, working a 9-to-5 job. And that the desire for the money was not such that I could just build up this wealth. It was specifically to be able to form this protective bubble for my family, and it was my job not to screw it up by not showing up to work or not caring or being disobedient to the authorities at the job. I made sure that my character was intact, my integrity was intact, so that they wouldn't have any issues at all when it came time to review that Ed Tenney is a top 10 performer. Let's make sure we kick him down because we don't want to. We don't want to lose him. We want to kick him down with some cash, make sure he can do that. And I've been blessed to be able to work for over 40 years in the same position. But I guess if anything, there was never a desire to pursue money just for, hoarding a bunch of money. So it was kind of, like I said, simplistic. I just wanted to provide a protective bubble on the house, got the house, was able to, and then as I got older, I guess things changed because the vision was not only to make money, then it became making memories with the kids, and using the money that I made to just create those memories. And the Lord blessed.
Very interesting that you talk about short-term goals and long-term goals, because most times you have to do the short-term goals first before you do the long-term goals. Yes, and along the journey, the goals change, right? The goals change. Sometimes you're heading east, and you have to turn, go west, and then go turn back again to go east. But the main idea, of course, is having that vision, and hopefully both partners can have the vision, and the kids can have the vision too, because we know in some cultures that vision is an expectation, and it can be a bit of a problem for a child with those societal or family expectation or cultural expectations. But we have to be realistic. There, along the journey, we, as Ron always says, you want to be the lighthouse in the ocean. As those waves come, as those hurricanes come, as the ocean seaweeds and all those things that's in the ocean, you want to be that light, so they can always say, I can also look back and the light is there, and hopefully they make it to land, and life goes on. Yep.
Yeah, I think
Now, I don't, I don't want to throw mixed messages out there. Listen, I want to be profoundly wealthy, because I need a certain level of wealth to fund my vision. That's all money does. It funds vision. And if I love when the Bible says the blessings of the Lord make it rich and add no sorrows. And so I understand the level of disenfranchisement and poverty and hurt around me. That's going to take certain levels of money to maintenance it, right? Let's use the word maintenance, because it's not going to solve it, but it will maintenance it. Money provides more opportunity than it does charity. I think ethics and morality provides charity, whereas as money provides opportunity. And so I understand the science and the relevance of money, but I think you should never compete the two. And so, not to be corrupted either, because you can be corrupted. You can be the greatest guy in the world, but money can corrupt. It's just what it is.
Right.
You can have a certain level of immaturity that can bring on corruptions and stuff like that. So, I'm not going to make money evil either, because the Bible also says it's for the love of money. It never said money. It says for the love of money is the root of all evil. And so I don't want to think that that's why the church and good people in general catch a lot of flack, right, for having money. Because all of a sudden you have money, or this level of money, you're no longer good. You're what they got. They got so many conspiracy theories out there. You're Illuminati now. You're this and that or whatever. Even though you bear witness to this person grinding and getting it from the mud, we will still rather believe the conspiracy, right? To kind of, I guess, to kind of pacify our inability to work just as hard, if it makes any sense. Or better yet, we will rather believe the conspiracy, right, to justify our jealousy. That's a better way to put it. And so with that, I can tell you that don't expect your role models to always be broke. And don't always look for broke role models to justify them being good. I think, Ron, you worked hard enough to be wealthy, and you should be. But we got to take away from the stereotype that good people shouldn't be wealthy and wealthy people are not good. That's not true. And so that's what
I want you to get me wrong. Like, I don't want you to get me wrong. Like, I mean, hold on. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that my focus, as I've seen many people who are in these higher level of education things, that is their focus, to make a orbited amount of money. Like even money, you'd be like, well, what do you do? I mean, they have plans, and guess what? I hear them. Some of them saying we want to build generational wealth and this and that, and I hear that. But my question had always been, are you building generational unity? Are you building generational community? Because you can have all the wealth you want in the world for you and your children, but if all the people in your neighborhood don't got no wealth, you become the target for what they need to eat.
Yeah.
So like I think people feel like, hey, I'm gonna go to an island and I won't have to deal with no many people. I go to the tower, I forget what movie this was, and the people's in this high tower, and all the it's about Walking Dead, a Walking Dead movie. And the people was in the tower, the people was in, and the Walking Dead was walking around, and they said we never got to worry about them because they're in the tower. But eventually, the tower can be overturned. And what have you done to make sure everybody else in our community? And I'm not trying to be a socialist, but I ain't saying that old people who won't work, we should provide everything for. I'm saying that there are things that we can do when we have our money. We can put ourselves in positions that we can still make our money and put ourselves in a position to still help people who are not who don't have the money, so they can get money like us. Because I think that every one of these little kids around here, where I'm at now, see me. They have to call me who they have to call me, and they say, "Well, look at who is with us. We can aspire to be like that." And I'm not taking nothing away from anybody else around, but the idea of saying that they normally would only see someone at my level come in the building to just do a walk around and look around and look and say, "Oh yes, no," and not have any action. They have full interaction with me, therapeutic interaction, educational interaction, mentoring interaction. They have it all, and then they also can get to see that this is you're only 24 years of education away from me, and 24 years is not a lot in a lifetime. 24 years is not, you're on most of them already.
No, but you have no. I'm not pushing against that point. What I am saying, because I hear a lot of buzzwords out here. I mean, people just whatever sounds popular, people like to say it. Half of the time, it's not even practical. But what I will say that we should be focused on, and what you just explained so eloquently was we should be focused on building generational health and generational wealth. Mm-hmm. And so until we understand the value of generational health, what the hell is the wealth work? Because I'm going to tell you this. You can't, and let me be very clear because I need people to really understand it. To whom much is given, much is required. So let me explain to you in plain English what does that mean. You can't be filthy rich without getting filthy. Let me be very clear about that. And so until you understand, because people, I want to be filthy rich. I'm like, you understand, you want to be filthy rich, you got to understand what it is to be filthy, right? And so when you understand that, back to the generational health, that there's certain habits that comes along with being rich. You understand? Certain predatory habits, and I'm like, listen, I ain't rich yet. You understand? But just being at a middle class level, I still understand the habits and the temptation that comes along with it. You will be offered stuff for free being rich that you really don't need. You understand?
Absolutely.
There's so much filth that comes along with it. You got to ask yourself, what's the oldest profession in the world? And when you answer that question, why is that the oldest profession in the world? And it's not limited to gender, but unlimited to class, which is why it's the oldest profession in the world. And so it just simply means people will naturally prostitute themselves. That's the oldest profession in the world. Mm-hmm. And so why is that? Is it a gender thing or is it a class thing? I'm like, well, it's all. People will prostitute themselves, not so necessarily for what they need. Most people will prostitute themselves for what they want.
What they want.
Right.
That's unfortunate. It's the same thing with working. My pastor said it so eloquent. I was really young, probably like 24 years old when he said it. He said people work for what they want and beg for what they need. And I the whole process is the same thing. And that's just not a cultural thing. I think that's a natural thing to just take that's pervasive in human society. And so when we think about it like that, you got to understand. I'm like, there's certain filth that comes along with being filthy rich, and you got to make sure that you clean yourself or you're healthy enough to prepare yourself to be at that particular juncture in your life.
I like the part about being rich because, gentlemen, rich is viewed in different eyes. You can be rich in education. You can be rich in health. You can be rich in money. You can be rich in empowering people. But keep in mind that some of the things that we wish for or want can also lead to your demise. We know. So we had a quick story. We had a car came into a dealership, and the car is one of those one of those Dodge Hellcats. It pumps about 1,000 horsepower. And just to show you how the greed can be dangerous, the car comes in for service. One of the managers says, "Guess what? Hey, Ron, I'm going to take that car out for a quick drive. I'll be right back." Now you have someone here who's untrained, who who maybe used to a car that's 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower. He or she goes into a 1,000 horsepower vehicle and says, "Well, I'm rich. I may not own this car, but because I'm in a car that gives out 1,000 horsepower, I can enjoy the luxury of rich people." Yeah. But here's the sad part. He comes out of the dealership and he guns it. And let's just put it this way. He pressed the gas pedal. The car roars. The car roars like a lion. In 2 minutes, he killed someone. The reason I give it a story, sometimes what
Mm.
you for can be to your demise. In 2 minutes, he killed someone. He's in court for murder. He killed a child. And all because he wanted to be rich. He wanted to drive a fast car with 1,000 horsepower. So if you plan to be rich, I can give you one of the simplest goals. You have to be willing to do the work. We talk
Right.
about the Bible, and the Bible
Right.
talks about God made change the ocean into wine. There are many things, but there are many work that was done. I'm not a depth guy with the Bible, but most of the thing, someone will say to me, what? I'm not feeling well. All I need right now is some prayers. But most times you gotta put in more work than prayers because God gives you energy and a body to put in the work to get to your goals, right? So let's look at being rich. Be careful what you wish for and be prepared to handle that car at 1,000 horsepower because it can lead to your demise.
What, Rohan, you just pointed out probably one of the most important things that I think that when I'm talking to young people, that's important for them to think about. And even some of even some of us who going by that Powerball ticket every day and what have you is that if we hit the lottery, then we'll be rich, right? And I think that a part of being rich is also a job. There's a job that comes with that. There is like you gave a great analogy of getting behind the wheel of an expensive car and saying that, oh, I know how to ride and drive an expensive car that you didn't work on, that you didn't, like, you don't just go in, like, it's like saying, hey, I'm gonna go ride a horse because I got some money, I'm putting the money down and get on the horse. Well, if you don't know, if you haven't practiced on how to get on a horse, how to ride a horse, you might end up like Christopher Reeve with a broken neck in a wheelchair for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
Because we have to work to get to that, like and again, this is something I see all the time. Entrepreneurs, I love entrepreneurship, I love it, but everybody, you hear a lot of people, they entrepreneurs, they CEOs of their own company, this and that, and then you ask them, well, where did you work at before you just a CEO and I could do this and do that? And what happens in that is
Mhm.
Ron, he kind of went out.
That's dangerous.
Ron, okay, you back in, Ron. It was like you were buffering.
Yes.
The ability.
You're still buffering. It's like you in and out.
Oh, I was buffing.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I was just saying it's one thing to have the experience, but it's another thing to know how to do the job. And not a lot of people know how to really do the job. And so you go and invest all your money that you had into saying, I'm gonna be a CEO of my own company, but you have never did the job. And you're following somebody. And I'm not saying that you can't do it because people did it. You follow somebody follow a guy on Instagram and do exactly how he do it. But sometimes people on Instagram be lying. They have 30 years of experience working in the company doing exactly that. And you think you're going to come there like, hey, man, I went to BCC, took a couple courses. I went to Miami-Dade, took a couple courses. It didn't work. I decided I'm just become an entrepreneur from the ground up. And I'm just following this on Instagram. I'm going to study this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to get the business. Well, there's a little bit more to that. Like, you know, I say this. People don't like. I say college ain't for education. College is for networking, right?
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
It's not for education because you can educate yourself.
Mhm.
It is truly for the networking. Just like public school is not for education, it's for socialization. You know, so because you can homeschool. The homeschool kids do great. They high test scores, everything. But you know, when you meet them, they kind of, hey, how you doing? They don't even shake a hand. They can't even, you know. And I know I say all, but a lot of people don't realize it is about a network and that network that you're going to get because within all the people that you meet in that network in that place, you'll be able to say, listen, why don't you come work with me? Why don't you come be on my board? Why don't you come do this? And you have their experience, your experience to develop some real entrepreneurship. A lot of times we really don't have that. We don't get that kind of push, that kind of thing played out there.
Okay, but you know what? Before Travis, you know what? Travis, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll go ahead with my next point.
Hello, guys. How y'all doing?
What up, Trav?
Welcome.
Good. Just stopping in, see what's going on. I missed y'all last week, so I'm back just to see what we talking about today.
Oh, hey, we highlighted you last week about your matter of fact, this Thursday, your upcoming presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put it on the we highlighted. There it is, right there. Bam.
Listen, I'm on it, bro. Listen, you don't got to worry. I'm glad you came on because Trevor, you can talk a little bit about it. After you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about it so the people out there can get their mind on attending this event. I talked about it a lot last week, but definitely, well, I know you can give us better justice.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So basically, I was honored and invited to a talk about health. Be talking about basically the unity inside our community and what is the because we always talk about the problems, but we want to talk about the solutions. And honestly, I thank you all because even the conversations that we have, it's going to also be something a reference of what I can use to present to Miami-Dade College about just basically how we can solve the issue when it comes down to bringing our community together again. And when what I was gonna address, and I give y'all a peek on basically what we're gonna be talking about. What I'm gonna be speaking of is the power of the P. The power of basically having our people, having the police officers, having the politicians, having the pastors, having the presidents, all these powerful people to come together with the one mindset of building character. And when it comes down to just bringing those core values together that made us who we are, that is what I'm going to be addressing a little bit.
Hey, Trav, we were just talking about something too, because the new buzzword right now is with a new term right now, popular term is generational wealth.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how you should be talking about really teaching generational health before you teach generational wealth. And I think it's kind of like, because you talk about we're in a mental health era right now where you have all kind of different diagnoses coming up and all type of stuff we haven't even found name for yet. We see people, young and particularly young people, out of their mind, and a lot of times people gonna be like, oh, that's from different things. That can be from drugs, this and that. I'm like, yeah, but it can also be from legal drugs, right?
Yeah.
How much of that is attributed to vaccinations? How much of that is attributed to this? How much of that attributed to that? And so we were talking about how the importance of generational health, right, contributes to generational wealth. And you can't have generational wealth without generational health, because we also talked about how, and I'm going to coin this phrase again, how people want to be filthy rich, but they don't understand you have to be filthy before you can be rich.
Mm.
You understand?
Mm.
So, people say, I want to be filthy rich, and don't understand what it is to be filthy before they be rich, and then what it takes to be filthy before you take rich. And I mean, our black community is a testament to that, and also a victim of that, during the fact that from 1965, which is the civil rights, the signing of the Civil Rights Bill, to 2025, well, I said from 1965 to 2025, we have more black people in government housing and less black people in the owning houses. And so the psychology of that right there is a mental health crisis within itself, an economic crisis. So when we talk about different things like that, and that's what I like about the Fatherhood Think Tank, that's what we do. We think about situations, and particularly the situation that's impacting us the most, and then we go from internal and go out abroad. That way we can not only we can start with being better black men, right? And then accomplish being better humans in the end. So
Absolutely.
that's what I love about this platform.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, you said that so eloquently, Light Boy, and I let you know what, and I think that is a pinnacle part of where we haven't given up. I think in many times I've been involved with a lot of things and just give up because I don't feel like it. First, it doesn't feed me. Second, I don't think it feeds anybody else. And at the time, it's just for what's the thing? Was something popular at that time? Just Fashion Nova. It's just Nova. It's just Fashion Nova at the time. But in this case, this is this descends any generational time, any fashion or fad, because it's never going to change. Because of what you said is about being men, fathers, men, human beings, and we're never going to change from. We might change from being a father. We might not be a father, and we might not even be a man. But we can't not be a human with all that comes with being a human being. And so that is a part where you can build yourself up from human to everything else you need to be.
Listen, and that's honestly, when I think about, just listening to our conversations, honestly, I really take everything in, and I mean, as as we can talk about, just because even this conversation is happening on Thursday, it's so many different levels that I'm gonna be in a presence where I want to be the vessel to be able to say what needs to be said, because if like, it's so much knowledge that I've been blessed to have, just being around a lot of awesome people just in my journey. And one of the things we talk about health, we talk about mental health, we talking about spiritual health, we talking about physical health. Like, and I say this because there is not enough highlight on just being physically healthy. Like, it's like we talk about, and my thing is, before you can even be financially healthy, and that's what you said, like, when we talk about financial health, we talking about, can you be physically healthy? You know what I mean? Because I tell people, you can have all the money in the world, and I've seen people that had money in the world and they wish they had their health. Because when you don't have your health, you really, the money can't buy healthy. The money can't do nothing but just be there, and you die with not being able to really enjoy life for real. So it's a big conversation that Thursday is going to be. I'm super excited because there's going to be a lot of professionals. There's going to be a lot of people that I have never met in my life. But it's just being able to be in a room with a lot of people and we're having a conversation. But I hope that conversation comes a to resolve, like a movement. Like, what are we doing after the conversation is had? That's what I'm on.
Well,
And
I'm
you
glad.
go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Roy.
I'm glad you're making an effort to reach out to men, to people who need these knowledge. We know that if you do numbers, if you're a numbers person, realistically, money is not really the priority. No, numbers will tell you that you need to take care of your wellness, your health.
Yeah.
Numbers will tell you that you need to increase your income. Numbers can also tell you that you need to have a plan, because we know many people have an idea, but they don't have a plan. An idea is what I have in my mind. A plan is something you put on paper that hopefully can get you to your vision, so to speak. So having a conference is you can impart the real knowledge about being rich and rich in what? Because we know your values shows your action and your intent. And I read articles. I'm an avid reader, and I never forget when I see this. People who retire, they ask them, "What is your what 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 do you miss? What do you miss now that you're retired?" You know what most of them say? "I miss setting my phone to wake me up at 5 o'clock. I miss racing through the light to get to work on time." So the reality is, look at what they missed. Look at the vision, the years of working, what they missed. So I agree with you. Talking about health, talking about vision, talking about working together as a team can really overcome a lot of hurdles that many of us face day to day, including our children.
Right.
I applaud you for taking this step to empower people, and someone will learn something from your conference for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a side and say that I'm very extremely um, proud of Travis because he just represents. He represents the baton, right? You know how you're supposed to pass the baton,
Right.
and not that like, oh well, I gave him a baton. I'm like, no, life gave him a baton. I was just glad to see him running. You understand, with the same passion and vigor that I once ran with, right? Not as young as I used to be, but to see that and guess what? I love to see the fact that I'm older and I can still be a fan of somebody younger, right? And Travis is that. But back to your generational health and generational wealth. Um, I was thinking about how D always comes before E. And yes, the experiences are very important, but if you're going to truly be wealthy or you're going to be successful at anything, you're going to have to be disciplined. This is why D comes before E. And so discipline and experience, which is back to Ron's point, of people just thinking that, oh yeah, I could just, oh, this is the popular word. Oh, Ron, you're gonna love this one here, baby. This is the popular word they like to use because this is what they really believe their success is built on. You ready? Manifest.
Oh, good luck, boy. Don't get me started, please, please.
And so now I'm like, there's a spiritual order that goes along with manifesting stuff. You can't think you're just gonna manifest stuff or have the power of manifestation and lack the discipline, right? Because you can conjure up something demonic. They don't understand that part either, which means you can get something that look very rich, right? And it can consume your whole soul, which simply means it can consume you and your children. So you think, oh, I'm rich, this and that, and don't understand that thing that looked like was rich and shining was actually designed to consume your whole family. And so what it did was put your child on drugs. You understand? Made your wife leave you. You understand? Made another one of your children who and it always hit the best child, the child who did everything right, right? And then they get to the pinnacle of their career because we see this in real life. So I have to paint a picture for you right now. And so you get to the pinnacle of the career with all the accomplishments, your best child, and you find out that your child has been at the top of their career, and all of a sudden they're on the news for having a relationship with a student at their school. These are real life situations. And so if you want to manifest, but I'm being real, because that's how the devil make his deals. You ain't even set your ass down and read a scripture yet. always want to think we don't want to apply ourselves to godly things, right? You understand? But we want the godly thing. Don't want to be the disciple. You understand? I'm like a disciple. Then that means you're gonna just straight up you around here dealing in demonic things, and that's just another story within itself. But so all that manifest thing you thinking about, oh, because I can think positive will happen. I'm like, the devil dealing in a lot of positive things. But the devil also come back along. What they call the chickens coming on the roof. The devil come back to reap what they all. I like the movie that just came out. Sinners. He said the devil will follow. One day the devil gonna follow you home. So for all my manifest people out there, you understand? Without the discipline, because God said, and he was very clear about this. He said, go into the world, preaching and teaching the gospel. And here's the last thing he said, making disciples of them. You understand? And if you're short of all of that and you think you could just manifest it by your own power, I'm like, it's not your power. It's the sad part about it is you didn't have the guts to ask what power it was. Power does work in this world, but you got to figure out which one you're working in. And so all manifest power is not of God. And that's something that you're going to have to learn within time. And I hope your whole family don't have to get what you call, have to suffer, right? Or be sacrificed for it. So be careful with the manifestation.
Like, but you always bringing it raw, bro. You always bringing the raw truth, man. That, you know what, the raw truth that I realized that people really don't want to hear, right? They would like to, and I find this very often. People would like to be like, well, that's not gonna happen to me. That if I hear that one more time, that ain't gonna happen to me. Oh, I got it planned out. I already know what's gonna happen. And you listen, your case study was so very clear to me. So very clear. The one child that was already that person out there just and you done worked hard, you done built this family, got a house, y'all been involved with the links, y'all been in all the little social organizations, had to consider with Jack and Jill, y'all done did all that. You're on your way to the boule. Everything you could want. But the problem is you did that under what circumstances? Did you stay pure to, and guess what? Sometimes, I'm not gonna say this is in substitution to prayer, substitution to grace and thanks, being thankful and what have you, but you haven't given back to anyone. Right? And so I think about this all the time is how some people survive is not giving back because it's going to be good for my taxes. Give back. But giving back, just not giving a man on the street when they say, I got a little sign, give me a little $10. I'm talking about really giving something to people who are really in need, not want, in need. That they would never make unless you was able to make that change in their life, and it costs you nothing, but it give you blessings that you could never imagine. But I only say that because I believe that in my life, I have always tried to be a blessing to people, maybe more than I should be, right? But it's abundant. It's abundant. It has continued to be abundant. I have not went a day without a blessing being bestowed. But at the same time, I know that that's got to be transactional. It's not a me. Oh, I'm getting up. Oh, it's coming to me because I said I manifested it all to happen. Somebody didn't say, this and that, and I'd be like, but you better do some manifestation. If you want to get some of this, that's what I'm doing. Instead of me saying, how can I help you get that? Even when I ain't got it to give to get you there. Because guess what happens? And I promise you, I stick everything on every religion I've been involved with. Whoever the creator is and everyone, it has never failed. When I have put my neck on the limb, genuinely to help and serve people, I was served right back with a silver platter. And that ain't nothing but God. Now just be clear, that ain't nothing but God. Listen, that ain't nothing but God, because it was the faith I had that it would be okay, that God would make it okay to make sure they okay. And I made sure what I could do, and then they made sure and somehow I turned around and the Cash App just came in. Cash App. not the Omar Cash App, just this Cash App, this thing. I didn't expect that it wasn't how it worked out. And so that's a really big part of what you were saying. And it's important because, again, when we come back and thinking about how do we do as fathers, because I think fathers, a lot of times, I think about our fathers in the past have got a bad rap for trying to take care of their community. Even at some time, the people thought they was taking care of the community at the sacrifice of their own family. But guess what I always noticed about their families? This father was sacrificing, but he was also teaching his family something, and that's that help that we talk about, that you're talking about, that generational help, that their children begin to know that I can't just think about me. My daddy ain't just think about me. My mama ain't just think about me. They thought about the people. They gave them their person-mind shoes that they were gonna give me. But it gives you something. It gives you something to recognize that at least your parents can even give somebody some shoes. So you don't have to worry about, any of that. And that takes maturity. That takes time, experience. That's also take, what you said, probably more than anything, discipline. Some big discipline to be able to do. So I definitely get that.
So Travis, Ron, well said. And just to keep the ball rolling, Travis, as you, and this is just I would say it's a question, as you support our journey, don't be afraid to put out the Fatherhood Think Tank out there. Because if you get a bunch of men, if you're able to get a bunch of men in one location, hey, that's a good thing. But the Fatherhood Think Tank is here. If you want to say something about us while you're doing your presentation, please feel free, because maybe a couple of those men need the talk. They need the real talk.
Of course. I mean, and I think honestly that's one conversation that's gonna be had when it comes to, when they gave us like 3 or 4 things for the panel to be aware of, like what are the communities that goes on to help. Of course, all the because I feel like a lot of in our
You're breaking up.
Hey, Trav, you breaking up, but I'm gonna what I do, I'll chime in for you because I do know you, and I'll pass it over to Ralph Martin. One thing I can say, I think I can't remember who. Ron, you good at this? Yeah, I think it was Frederick Douglass. That's who it was. Frederick Douglass, and Travis in the business of what Frederick Douglass left behind, or the inheritance and the intelligence of Frederick Douglass. He's in the building of building boys, strong boys, so he don't have to repair broken men. See that? That's Travis' job. I understand his purpose. And so he's in the business of building strong boys, not repairing broken men. I work at a homeless shelter, so I'm in the business of repairing broken men. See the difference?
Right, so right. That's our business.
Right.
Our business is right. And the other part that I try to, and then we work in the other part of maintaining men not to become broken.
Absolutely, and that's where
that becomes a bigger, you can build up. But what happens when those men get to a place and they feel like they're gonna be broken? Because that's what you had to help them know that you're not broke. You just need a reset.
And the reality of that is we got everybody on their posts. That's where the soldier mentality coming at. And so here we are, all these different soldiers online, right? We don't know we're soldiers because that's not what we're about. We're not looking for that type of brag and celebratory, whatever. But here we are, soldiers on different walls. You understand, Travis? Building strong boys so they won't become broken men. I work in homeless shelter, so I'm dealing with broken men so they can get back to being whole men. Ron is trying the Fatherhood Think Tank, so men won't become broken. And if they become broken, they can start the process of repairing themselves and rebuilding themselves. And so we got Rohan, who at one point may have been a broken man, but understand what it is to be a recovering man and a whole man, and now he's helping men recover. And then now we got my friend and confidant I've been working with for 20 years, who was helping me deal with broken communities, Ralph Martin. He can explain more about himself and tell a little bit about his history. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Ralph. Go ahead.
Hey, I just had to chime in, man. Look, this concept of broken men and broken boys, and we're broken on so many levels, man. We are broken emotionally, we are broken physically, mentally, spiritually, and there's a battle that's going on because when you're broken, I saw a play on Broadway one time and say when the cookie crumbles, you can still pick up the pieces. But there's so many pieces to us when we become broken. Sometimes you don't know where to start to put the puzzle together because some of us, we're born into brokenness, man. We are born into dysfunction. And it is hard when you're born into dysfunction to try to see anything else besides dysfunction if dysfunction and brokenness is all you know, because sometimes it's generational. See, we talk about generational welfare, generational poverty, generational illiteracy, generational felons, but man, that generational brokenness, that's something that has torn us up for the last 40, 50, 60 years. And so when you all who have that expertise in fixing broken men, broken boys, it's like as soon as when you're in the process of fixing them, there's certain elements of society that wants to drag them back down and keep them broken because they prefer to have that broken version of them.
What's that?
And you see, I sit on a committee at Frito-Lay that when we scan in applications, I can tell some of these guys in the interview process, you can just tell by the way they talk, the way they look at you, the way they shake your hand, and you can look at their appearance and you can tell you've been broken. But the problem is a lot of us, we don't want to reach out and say, hey, I do need help because we're taught growing up, hey, don't speak about what's going on in this house outside of your house. There are a lot of us who won't even go get mental health counseling. There are a lot of us who won't say, hey, man, I am struggling. I just need somebody to talk to. And when you hold all that brokenness inside, when it finally comes out, you don't know which way it's going to come out. You don't know, and that may be a trick. He or she may be having a bad day, and something you say may trigger them and trigger that brokenness to where now all of a sudden, it's going from A to Z just that quick. So what I would like to know, man, is how do we actually prepare those who are broken? How do you actually prepare them to go back and help somebody else that's broken? Because broken people hang around broken people.
Absolutely. Well,
I hear you.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Oh no, he was preaching. I love it. I amen into everything.
Okay. well, again, and remember, we're about always, and the Fatherhood Think Tank is always about solutions, right? And so, I would say, how do you start rather to fix it? Is remember I told you, you can repair if you can repair the narrative, you can repair the nation. If you can repair the narrative, you can repair the neighborhood. And so how I would go back and begin to fix this is by repairing the narrative and to let you know, I'm like, well, first of all, you're not from a dysfunction anything. You're from a disenfranchised family.
Right.
When I found that out, I'm like, oh, disenfranchised, tell me what that is. And once I found out more about disenfranchised and what the science of that was, then I understood that we wasn't dysfunctional, we were disenfranchised. Sad part about it, I had to learn it from some white people. But
that's what it is.
Right. But you know what? When I think about it, I'm like, always be open to learning from all cultures. And I'm going to tell you why. This is going to really, you're going to love this analogy. The reason you should be learning from all races is because the very people, your people that will exploit you, right, will exploit you for another race. And what you don't realize is, right? What I realized, and it took, I'm 53, so it takes a little while to realize for me. I realized, like, I'll be damned. The same poison, right? That actually the snake, when the snake bites you, the same poison that came from the snake, it's the same antidote that comes from the same snake. Right? They got to know what snake bit you in order to create an anti-venom, you right, to fight the venom of the snake.
Right.
And so when I realized I had to affect my own life, I'm like, wait a minute. So all this TV, and I think they have a popular saying that everybody that's skin to you is not kin to you. And so what I found out, I had just as many white people that advocated for me as I did black. The only problem was I put on blinders to kind of really protect myself from the black people who wasn't advocating for me. You know why? Because I was afraid of a broken heart. And the thing in the world is to get your heart broke by your own people. And I'm not saying all of my people did it. I'm like, no, remember I said I had just as much black people advocating for me as white. You understand? But I rejected the white truth. And ain't no such thing as black truth and white truth. There's only the truth. But at that particular time, in my own ignorance, I only just believed that truth came from black people and not from white. You understand? Because that's the manipulation that came along with not so much the education, but the manipulation that came along with the motivation or the fake motivational inspiration. People would like to get close to you. You understand? To benefit from what you are. That's just people. People will use it no matter what damn color they are.
Right.
You understand? But I had to start learning for myself, like, hey, who was friend and who was foe? And I realized that, wow, I'll be damned. The truth come in all kinds of colors. But I also had to realize sometime too, and it's going to contrary push back against my analogies. And because I asked the question last week, it kind of contradicts it. But I understand you can be loved by just as much by white people as you can by black. Hey, Ron,
you can do what? You can do what now?
You can be loved just as much by white people as you can by black.
Well, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that is, though. And I think people, as much as you don't want, we sometimes get so colorized, right? Culturalized, ethics-wise. Yo, nothing could teach you better than Lou Gossett movie, and he played the alien with this other guy. It came to an alien came to America, and they was like a couple shows happened like that where alien. And what you remember is that the aliens were the aliens, and the humans were the humans. None of that mattered anymore because we were all human. You can't. You can condition somebody. You know, we had this little young man in church, my church, and every Sunday I see him, I say, that's going to be interesting to see what his outcome is going to be in the future, because he in this church, the only little young man in the church that looked like himself, and he getting all of this urban ministry, and in the house that he lived with, the people he lived with, and all. And I say to myself, but you know what? He gonna have such a love for these people that he around that somebody couldn't tell him anything because they treating him as human that he is. They're not looking at any black, white, yellow, orange. They're not looking at any of that. They're just looking at him being a human being, a little boy growing up, growing up. And as I thought about that, I said to myself, yo, where's his people at? That hit me, and I had to say some serious words to myself while I sat in church. Because I said that he is here with us. And where's his people? He had no people on either side. And we don't think about it because we don't see us in that place all the time. We don't see other people. Mm-hmm. And that's important, that when you can see other people in the place that you think that we are only in, that opens up your light of your humanness.
But that's the thing, bro.
Huh?
The thing about it is, and when I said about love, because I'm like, listen, even if people don't respect your version of when we talk about loving different cultures and other people and how that manifests itself. You know, we use that word manifest, but I'm gonna use it in the right context because when it manifests itself in the lives of people like Muhammad Ali, and he has far better character than I do. And so when you saw the relationship, and I'm talking about here it is, Muhammad Ali, the devout minister or devout member of the Nation of Islam. You understand? But he was the devout lover of Angelo Dundee, right? He's the devout lover of Howard Cosell. And so when we start to think about how love can't be contained, because I remember somebody tried to and in the movies, and they depict this not only just in the movies, they would depict this in a lot of his documentaries, the love he had for Angelo Dundee, right, which was his trainer. And so he didn't allow, I don't give a damn who you was, he didn't allow absolutely nobody to disrespect Angelo Dundee. And so when I'm saying that and saying is when you find somebody that love you and that you can love back, then you got to make sure you are disciplined enough. You understand, to maintain that love so that love can continue to spread globally, because that's one of the things that made him great. You understand? It's not just he was a great. People think like he was a great fighter. I'm like, no, he was a great man. It's a difference. People thought, oh, Tupac was a great rapper. I'm like, no, Tupac is a great man. So anytime you put those legacies up against different people, I'm like, the reason Biggie can't compete against Tupac because Tupac was more than a rapper. The reason most fighters can't compete against Muhammad Ali because he didn't limit himself to being just a great fighter. He was unlimited to being a great man, and that's what this platform actually speaks to. And so I just want to commend every man on here in every aspect. I know you guys whatever it is you do and whatever it is on your journey that makes you great men. Not only just to this point, but just every point of your life that I don't know about. So I'm just tell you I love you and I'm proud of every last one.
Very true, very true, very, very well said. You know, to add to Ralph about broken people or broken men, broken children, you know, Ralph, as we learn, as we go along this journey, we know that again, your values show your action and intent. And the day I personally believe, the day people stop watching other people to some extent and focus on you and growth, I think we can achieve. I think there are many people who are driving the car, but they're not looking through the windshield. They're looking through the side view mirror. They're looking through the mirror, looking at someone else and wanting to be someone else. And that affects many of our cultures. Many people who want something that is just sometimes it's just a facade. It's just a show. So we have to start repairing, change our values, and if we change our values, and changing values come with teaching. I always say the clubs are full and the libraries are empty, and that's so funny when I say that, because the clubs, you see the line in the clubs, right? That long line to go in the club, and everyone is dressed. Everyone is dressed and looking ready for the club, but the libraries are empty, and there's so much information in the library. There's so not only empty, it's free with plenty of resources, plenty of plenty of things that can make someone grow. And making a change is going to be painful. Not doing what everyone does is going to be hard because the river, when you're swimming against the tide, it's going to push you, right? So we need to teach parents, moms, fathers, and show them there is a different route. We don't have to continue with the norm. And can we do it? Can I do it? Can Fatherhood Think Tank do it? We can't save everyone, but we can sure save some people and make a difference in their life.
Yeah, that's actually well spoken. In the Bible, the Apostle Paul talks about strict discipline and strict training. And sometimes everybody, like you say, everybody, God has given each and every one of us our own lane. We have a specific purpose. Now, whether or not you use those talents and ability that the Lord blesses you with, that's clearly up to you. But when that book is open and you haven't used those talents and abilities, then you have no one to blame but yourself. Let me give a prime example. That brother you see right there, Lionel, I met Lionel in 1996 I started working for him at the Nonviolence Project. And what he said about how other races help you at the Nonviolence Project, we got all the help in the world from the white folks. But let me tell you what you can't put a price on what Lionel did for me. No one in my family wanted to take me to FAMU, and I had a full scholarship. You know who took me to FAMU? Lionel. Lionel dropped me off at my apartment. We drove from Miami, stopped in Orlando for a night, and then we went right to Tallahassee. And you know what? It's me for a penny. He said was, promise you ain't gonna let me down, Ralph. But he knew. He knew right then and there that Ralph gonna blaze a trail. So when I left, I left FAMU with a perfect 4.0, and guess what? I went right to law school. So when you have selfish individuals, people who like Lionel who are not selfish, those are the kind of people that begin to invest in others. Because what he did for me was say, I'm going to invest in you because I know what it's going to pay dividends back, not only just through me, but through all the people that I can impact. And he'll tell you, after I went on Oprah and then went to law school, I'm sitting in law school like, wait a minute, man. Everybody here got their mom and their daddy, and here I am. My mom and my daddy been to prison 5 times each. But guess what? Because of Lionel and because of God putting him in my life, I'm on the same playing field as people who had mom and dad at home. I was on the same playing field. And guess what? I graduated with honors from law school. Simply because Lionel said, I'm going to take you, Ralph. Don't worry about it. Money to catch the Greyhound, which is 19 hours. Lionel took me. So when we have individuals like Lionel in our community, and there's so many other Lionels in the community, you just don't know who they are because they're not seeking the limelight. They just rather stay behind and say, look, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because I also have sons. I'm doing it because I know that we always hear that old adage, oh, if I can save one. But look at what Lionel has done through me and all the individuals we have helped along the way. So that you can't even put a price on what he did for me the last 20-something years, and it's still paying dividends. And so that's now we're able to reach generations that when Lionel and I talk to them, we're like, hey man, there's a better way. And we both, I'm Overtown, he from Liberty City. We both know what it's like to not have. Me and Lionel used to share food at the Nonviolence Project. But everyone wants everything so fast now. Very few people really want to work for it. Hey man, my first year of law school, staying in Miami Shores, I had to catch 4 buses because my car broke down. I had to catch the 77 to 183rd, catch the 83 to 27th Avenue, catch the 27 to the Dolphin Stadium, then catch the 2 all the way down University Drive. I had to get up 3.5 hours before class, but I knew deep down inside, hey man, the alternative, which is the street, it ain't for me. So sometimes when somebody like Lionel invests in you, then you have that inner push that comes, and it's like, I got to go get it, man. I got to have it. And you know what? Hey, Lionel will tell you, I'm forever thankful for that because that has allowed me to help so many other people. And even sitting on the board at Frito-Lay, where people come by and they have felonies, they bring me into the interviews, and I get to talk to them brothers even more about opportunity, about how Frito-Lay can help you out and things of that such. So I'm using everything that Lionel, Doug Overman, everyone instilled in me to help those because we know in that prison system, hey, 90% of them boys don't know 90% of them guys don't have a relationship with their father.
Right.
75% of them don't even have they don't even have a GED.
Oh, wow.
And we know when they come home, they're in the fight of their life right now, man. They are in the fight of their life right now. And to some of them, coming home is scary because they have it so easy in prison. Hey, I got a place to sleep. I got to eat. I'm going to take a shower. And when they come out here, it's like, oh, boy. And that's the shame. But you know what? Our work would never be done. And so there's going to be some we catch. and there are going to be some we don't catch. But let me tell you something. The churches have always been the bedrock of the black family, no matter what religion you were in. And if you look in churches today, you see more women than men. You see more single women. You don't see too many married couples. You don't see the black people. You don't see the brothers going. And see, religion teaches us what? Discipline. It teaches you restraint. It teaches you forgiveness, reconciliation. There's not too much of that going on now. It's I'm gonna get over on you before you get over on me.
Mhm.
That's the generation we living in right now. I'm gonna get over on you before you get over on me, and it's impacting friendships, marriages, relationships, work relationships. Every relationship across the board is being impacted by that.
Well said.
Absolutely. Trav, you want to have something to say before we lock it up? So is Mike going? All right, Ron, handle your business.
Okay, so let me. Then I have to
Oh,
do like always. I just,
I'm sorry, Rob. I appreciate that, man. You know what? That was your testimony to have. Nobody, and I'm glad, that we had that time and that particular experience together. So, and you're right, it benefited me. It was just a joy to give that. You understand? As it was for you to receive it and also to continue to give it to other people. So, thank you so much.
yeah, we can't go a day without shouting out our sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank, JAG Attorney at Law, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach. Um, if you need to get in touch with JAG Attorney at Law, that's Johnny A. Gaspar Esquire. You can email him at jgaspar@jag1law.com or hit him on the phone, ding, 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 305 872, 827 8087. Again, and you go hit this webpage if you're trying to look at what kind of law he practices and what kind of thing. www.jag1law.com. That's the premium sponsor of Fatherhood Think Tank, and so we just always want to thank our brother Gaspar, for supporting, not just with his experience as a father, and his experience, but also his experience as an actual sponsor of the show. Continue to that we continue to grow. And thank you. With that being said, hey, I normally would have a nice closing, but I think that my brother Ralph summed up a lot of very important things to even bring us back to this topic that was so important. Um, that when I hear as a clinician, I always listen to the stories and listen to what context I taken from this and case conceptions of things. And so, taken away from what our topic was for the night, and I'm just going to show it again so people know. Our topic was a person with an idea or vision will always outcompete a person who only sees money. And I'm gonna give you an example of that in reference to what Brother Ralph shared with us was the idea that when he had a full scholarship to FAMU, nobody really wanted to take him to Tallahassee. Now I don't know what that reason was or why that came about and nobody wanted to take him. But a lot of times I know in our families, in our community, sometimes I got to do it. Hey, listen, I got to how much money you got? You ain't got no money. You can go to school. Um, if I drive you up there, then I got to drive back by myself. I can't get nobody to go up there with me. Um, and at no point really looking at the idea, the vision that you ain't say you was going to the club in Tallahassee. You ain't going to the moon. You wasn't going to ride up to the moon or go to a family. You were going to start law school. You know, this is what we're talking about a lot of time. People don't see it; they don't really put forward to it, and then sometimes we have to be able to have the experience because I'm sure when you came back, and I post this all the time that when you walk in the road, right? It ain't nobody to cheer you on. But when you pass the finish line, there's 1,000 people there cheering. They ready for the celebration. They ruin as you get closer and as you cross that finish line. And I'm sure that was your experience when you went and
Hey,
on the road.
let me tell you this, brother. I graduated law school May 3rd, 2003. Right then, here's the crazy part. All my family over time live in the city. Right. My law school graduation was all the way. You know the Sunrise Center where the Florida Panthers play at.
Right.
Right,
Amphitheater.
Hey, them jokers rented 2 Greyhound buses to come see me graduate. And
right.
hey, so y'all found some money to rent 2 Greyhound buses to come all the way up to Sunrise on 75, but couldn't find no money for me to go to FAMU. Oh, come on, man. But like you
But
say,
listen, that's just life. Listen.
everybody was at the finish line though. When I walked across the stage,
Right.
they started jumping up like crazy now.
Right. Yeah. Because and listen, Ralph, I'll say this to you, and this is the reality. You are their reach up. And that's what it really becomes. It becomes and it's so important that we realize that our vision and our idea of what we're going to do came before, because you could have just said, look, I'm graduating, go work for the city, get this check, then get this pension, then go work for the state, get this pension, and just hey, listen, I'm just get this money. Because a lot of people do that, right? But you knew you had other things that you wanted to do to help, to be a service to our community, to our families at large. Sometimes people don't see that vision. They look at them, they looking some so tied into the money. Sometimes, and they don't realize that after the fact, they realize, oh, you a lawyer? Oh, you got all the you getting the Rolex watch? You gonna have a Bentley? You get a private jet like Willie Gary? No, I'm not. I'm gonna be working at a modest lawyer job, maybe working for a company, making the regular everyday. But that is the mindset, and sometimes we just got to be that uplift for them. And then we did what we did. We carried that road, and now we need the uplift for them.
Wrong. Let me clear some up for the viewers. The Moon in Tallahassee is actually a club. It's not the actual. It's a very.
Yeah. Well, I would hope the people know. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I only know that because I was thinking that's the mentality sometimes that come about. Like, I need to get to school so I can start classes, and the people act like you want to go to the moon. But listen, I hate to say it, if you wanted to go to the moon, they probably more likely to take you there. And I hate to say this, but they were more likely to ride up there with you, go down to the mall, y'all get some clothes, the Tallahassee Mall, get y'all some clothes, and then y'all would go to the moon that night, then y'all come back.
Hey, what you
Fun time.
Why you around here talking about my life? But anyway, you know how many times I went to the moon? I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school in Tallahassee, but I did know about the moon, so I had them when my cousin went to school up there. So we'll come see him, and then we'll go hang out at the moon and back with everything you just said and come back. And so everybody's relationship with Tallahassee is not the same. But I think those times prepared me for the time that when Rob came along, helped me navigate better. Just hanging out, you understand, helped me to get him up to where he needed to be at that particular time. So it's like, but the Bible says all things work together for the good. That's what it really means, and that really was reflective in my life. So thank God for that.
That's right. So with that being said, Father, if y'all repeat after me, we'll say our chant for the night, and it goes something like this: We are. Not we are. I am. No, hold on. Because let me time out. 1 second. I have to realize I have a chant. Got this other chant, school chant in my mind. It says we are an African people. So when I think about saying the chant, I say it every day is in my mind. So I gotta come back. Let me come back. I am. I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I say I am.
I am
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
I said, fathers, I said that we are.
We are.
I said that you are.
You are.
I say that I am.
I am.
A championship.
Father, here we go.
Yeah.
Well said, man. Well said.
Well said.
This is what happens when you start getting another chance in your mind. And I got to model that for the kids. It start getting mixed up. But you know, we that's what happens when you get old. When you get this gray hair like this, you probably don't get one or two things in your mind, but that's why you get it. But I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Like, share, subscribe. I want to thank our guest panelists that came on, guys. Guys, you're welcome back anytime. Just hit on, knock on. If you got something to say, if you know somebody going through something that needs a platform to kind of talk about, kick them on, give them the information, let them come on in. We kind of put our arms around them and let them know that fatherhood is love for men, and we're going to do what's best for them. With that being said, we'll see y'all here next week. Fatherhood Think Tank, and we are out.
All right, peace.
Peace. One love.